PEPAİYE ZÁNEĆ My name is PEPAİYE Ashley Cooper. I come from ZÁNEĆ. I'm from Þ�ΙΘΥ, and I'm µŌETHÁT. I come from the Cooper family, the Underwood family, and the Paul family. So my parents are Randy Cooper, Patty Cooper. My grandparents were Frida and Johnny Cooper. And I also come from Esther Underwood, who is with Martin Cooper. And then my great-grandparents were Julia Paul and John Baptiste Paul. I'm going to be sharing some of my poetry today. My poetry is based on experiences and events that have happened to me, observations that I've observed through being on the land and nature. These are also, I try to include some SÄO뾱ETHN words as well. So I try to focus on providing people with a ԶÁΝEĆ lens on how to view the world. It's important for me to use this as an outlet to share with people today and future generations to give them an idea of what it's like to be ԶÁNEĆ. I really like this medium as a way to express myself without any restraints, boundaries, or restrictions. So I really enjoy using my voice this way. There's a couple poets in my family, actually. So Philip Kevin Paul has been one of my major idols and role models. Also, my cousin Naantanat, Heather Elliott, is another poet that I really admire, and a lot of my work is inspired from them. My cousin Pinach has always had a very poetic heart when he's explained the language to me, along with my sage SÄO뾱EMTES. I work at the PEPAİYE, which is the native plant nursery located at the ZÁALԵÐEN Tribal School. I've been teaching there for about 5 years about indigenous plants, medicines, and the SÄO뾱ETHN language. We do land-based learning at some of our culturally significant village sites, such as SDIWIEÞ�, ՁΗΚL, and ՁΗHUANG. I've helped co-create the SÁNEĆ Ethnobotany Trail at the Horticulture Center of the Pacific. I really enjoy native plants and medicines. This is the role in my community. I try to use poetry as an outlet to reach other people. I enjoy teaching all ages from preschool up until adults, university level. I love to read poetry, write poetry, bit of a bookworm. I'm a mom to a 4-year-old son. He's definitely helped inspire a lot of the stuff I've written. And I just love where I'm from, and I try to use this as an outlet to explain like my love for it. So I guess it's my ode to ЗÁНEĆ. Ancestral time. The ancestors wake me while it is still dark out. They will remind me to prepare for the shift in seasons. You've learned a lot this year about managing your sorrow. Now is your time to reapply those sacred teachings. Don't lose yourself in the pain just because it's familiar and you're used to carrying it alone. We're here to guide and help you. Language loss. Hell is not what you see in movies, flames all around in constant darkness. It's when you're chronically dysregulated and you don't know how to connect to those sacred teachings that have been stored away in the land for safekeeping. It's not speaking the same language as my ancestors and elders. How can they really know what I'm saying if they don't understand this broken and colonized tongue of mine? The only mutual language we share are tears. This one goes out to my grandparents. Young, to be emotionally attached. Your love reminds me of the coastal sand verbena, delicate, important, and rare. And you, the sand verbena moth, have built your home amongst this intricate ecosystem, housing yourself there, building your life on that flower. Your family resides here. But what happens when the habitat is disturbed and excavated, it will cause this moth to disappear. Grieving. Some mornings I'm awakened by the gut-wrenching feeling of having the wind knocked out of me before I'm fully conscious. It's almost like my spirit is grieving having to stay put in my earthly body, that I have to return from the dream realm and leave you there. My heart aches more than it ever has. Devil's Club in human form suffered so much loss and trauma that all their internal pain pushed its way from the inside out. It's so heavily protected, but it has turned its pain into medicine for you to heal yourself with. Everywhere I go, there you are. I learn about our love in the messages from the land. Slow as camas, persistent as willow, and sacred as eagle down, gifted to me as a blessing. To cry in Indian is to wail so hard that I feel like my spirit is slowly disintegrating into this fleshy prison that I call my body. It's to feel my heart being beaten to a pulp from the memories of my loved ones who are no longer here. It's screaming at the top of my weak lungs in hopes that my spirit gets soothed. It's praying that these tears and these cries will shatter this earthly plane and transcend into the cosmos where you reside, so you can understand how much my heart is breaking and that I need you. This one's to my late sister, Julie. ZďIÐHＥ, to be dreaming. I learned the prayer words. I studied the medicines. I found you in my dreams, but I can't seem to keep you here in the human realm. Some shadows engulf any light that shed its way. The one who gets what he's after. I was too distracted by the beautiful stories to even notice how you were carving away pieces of my boundaries and self-worth, your shadow luring mine to join you, in a dance only suitable to summon the most immoral demons. I peeked in on the skeletons lurking in off the closet of your bedroom, and they told me, run. I walk in a path of the forest that my great-great-grandparents used to camp and fish in. Now it's a municipal park. I listen to the birds sing as they have been since the beginning of time, medicating myself with the trees and the safe green canopy they provide. I wonder how many people know the history of this park that they walk their dogs in every day. I wonder if they ever feel displaced. They look at me like I'm the one that's intruding as I harvest my berries and roots and bark in a place that we always have and we always will. Harvesting food is ceremony, but some days I get exhausted of the questions that I'm asked. What are you going to do with that? Harvesting food is ceremony. I take a deep breath in. Without looking up from my work, I reply, feed my family. Harvesting food is ceremony. My kin have lived in fear for too long, not allowed to harvest off the reserve or in the view of settlers. Harvesting food is ceremony, but I will not hide my practices. My presence will be known in these so-called parks. Love songs. ԶďIÐՀＥ, birds that sing with all their hearts. Their songs are laced with all the ways we will cultivate a powerful love.
My name is Vanessa Claxton. I'm from the Saanich Peninsula, extending to the Washington, San Juan Islands, and the Gulf Islands. Basically, the WSÁNEĆ territory through my father, who's Wilsiam, Calvin Claxton. Calvin Claxton's father was Earl Claxton, and his mother was Joanne Johnson. His father was Earl Claxton, and Earl's mother was Elsie Claxton. My mother is Kalumawat Sherry Underwood, and her mother was Juanita Paul, and her dad was Gordy Underwood. And Juanita Paul's parents was Julia George and John Baptiste Paul, known as Chief Thunderbird. And Gordy's parents were Victor Underwood and Ethel Underwood. And they're all from Saanich. For my first passion was lyrical poetry. I think when I was younger, I just studied the lyrics to all the songs. And then I kind of created my own books, so I'd write it down and I'd study them. And it was something that kind of introduced me to like language in a kind of poetic, passionate way. So it's like a way of expressing yourself through words or condensing an emotion to like one song. So for me, it was something that just came naturally. So when I was writing poetry, I write in my blogs, or I'd write in my notebooks, or I'd write in, and it just became, it kind of just took over those times when you're really upset or you're too emotionally charged from a relationship. Or during this pandemic, it's been particularly useful because I think when you're able to just walk away from something and sing, no matter how lighthearted or how maybe it's like something you need to get out, it's just been kind of like a godsend in a way where it's like, oh, I can escape to this, or I could find an expression through a song. With the pandemic, it's like we're so separated from each other. It's like whether it's your grandma or whether it's your significant other who's across the border, or if it's just wanting to be able to hug or be close to someone, it's almost like for dream, we're stuck in these dreams of wanting that closeness, wanting but we're just like, oh, we just have to dream about it. And I think for an indigenous philosophy on just dreaming, it's almost like when you dream it, it can come true. Like it just becomes real. And it's kind of gets away from that separation. And for me, indigenous philosophy and even our indigenous language is legendary because it brings what we've known in our oral history to the present. I think it's what's going to heal the land and heal the people, because we're so broken and so separated, and it's like they're creating all of this hate and all of this animosity and like these divisions. And I think music, art, anything creative kind of bridges that. For today, I wanted to introduce Dream, Dream, Dream in Þ�IÐHYEΘ. Basically, the word for dream is ḵÁLEÐHEN. So dream is ḵÁLEÐHEN. So the reason I've been drawn to the song Dream is because our indigenous language has that same word, ḳÁLEÐHEN, and it helps us introduce the language, even in a small way, just so to capture the one word, and then kind of helps me learn as well. So learning my indigenous language just by adapting it from a song that I enjoy. Kleep is the word for grape in Þ�IÐHYEΘ. I developed that because not everybody drinks wine or tastes of wine, but we all drink juice and grapes, and we can all relate. So I kind of wanted to make it more about cross the ages, cross the generations.
ḵÁLԵÐHEN, ḵÁLԵÐHEN, ḵÁLԵÐHEN, when I need you, in my arms when I need you, and all your charms whenever I want you. All I have to do is ḵÁLEÐHEN, ḵÁLEÐHEN, when I feel blue in the night and I need you to hold me tight whenever I want you. All I have to do is ḵÁLEÐHEN. can make you mine, taste your lips of sleep, anytime, night or day. Only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I can die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is kvelkvelåpen, kvelkvelåpen, kvelkvelåpen. I can make you mine, taste your lips of sleep, anytime, night or day. The only trouble is, gee whiz, I'm dreaming my life away. I need you so that I can die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is kvelkvelåpen, kvelkvelåpen, kvelkvelåpen, kvelkvelåpen.
ZÁLEÐEN ÞHELACHIATHAN SNET, ÞHÍOÞ SÁNEɁ, ÞHÍOÞ MAIN THEMALAC, ÞHÍOÞ ÞHÍOÐ ÞHÍOÞ SAMANA. Is Quanis Quinana CM. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Gail Sam. My father is Daniel. My mother is Lila. We all reside in the ɁSÁNEɁ. So that's who I am. I'd like to share a song that was composed by my cousin Marlene Rice in ɁALEÞEN. It's called the Coast Salish Anthem, which was first composed, like I was saying, in ḵALEÞEN. And as I was learning language, I asked her, I said, is it possible for us to compose the same song into SÄO뾱ETHEN? And she agreed with it. So in doing that, I had the help from my aunt, my late aunt, Teresa Smith. Her Chwilnwch Snet was ŒɁEɁ. She's passed on now, but she helped compose this song. And along with myself and John Elliott and late Earl Claxton also had a part in making sure that the SÄO뾱ETHEN writing was going to fit to the song too. So we had a lot of help, and that's how it came about. This song also symbolizes back in the day when we had our late Chief Dan George, who was quite active in the mainland there. He composed this song, and part of the chorus is like the song that he gave to the chiefs of the nation. So it's a national song that they use too in Canada. So that's where the history of this song came from. I'm very fortunate. I had a grandmother. Her name was Agnes Smith. That's my dad's mother. She, in our culture, if you belong to this singing, then you are able to do this. And I belong to a society where we do this drumming and singing for memorials, name giving, celebrations. And I've been a part of that. So right from 12 years old, she taught us our, what you call a SďO뾱ETH, and it was the family song that belongs to the ɁSďIÐHÍ, which is the mask dance. And so she taught us at a very young age. And me being the oldest of my father's children, I was the one that was chosen to do that with my older cousins. So right from that day, I practiced singing I loved to drum, and because I belonged to this, as I got older, I was asked to help with ceremonies up and down Vancouver Island, and with those name-giving or memorials or celebrations. And so I was able to travel and be with my cousins, my older cousins, my sisters, all the women that belong to this. And I have many teachers that have taught me along the way to be confident enough to stand up in the lawn house where there's hundreds of people and be able to hear my voice. Like I was talking to you earlier, I was taught that my voice needs to reach the other side of the room, down the other end, and when the dancers are dancing, they need to hear me, so my voice needs to be loud. So at doing that, and that I just love doing it. I don't do it so much anymore because right now, COVID-19, and a lot of our celebrations have been postponed. Oh, I feel it makes me happy because to me, like it says, it's because I was taught by my grandmother, and because this song was composed by my aunt, it brings me closer to them, thinking that they're right here with me. They're going to be there supporting me no matter where they are. They have both passed on, and every time I drum and sing, I have to thank my ancestors because they're the ones that encouraged me to have this gift, and I really believe it's a gift. My father, Þ�IÐՀＥ Sam, his mother was Agnes Smith, but she was also from the Quamachin, from the ɁIÐHະEɁ nation, but married down into ŊH SÁNEĆ. My dad's father was Johnny Sam, and he was right from ŊH. So those are my dad's parents. My mom's parents are Alexandra Modeste, and my grandfather on my mom's side, his name is Walter George. And we come from Duncan, from Cowichan. But the most wonderful gift of being part of this society is that the best story that I've heard and that I treasure is that when my great-grandmother was to be married in Nanaimo, they traveled her over by canoe from Sechelt. And when she traveled over from Sechelt to be married on the island, that's when she came with the mask. She came with the SDIWIEÞ� mask. And that's why I belong to that, is because of my great-great-grandmother that traveled from Sechelt. So that's where the originality on my mother's side comes from for this belonging to this, sinning society that we have in our culture. And from, like I said, my father's mother was from Quamachin, so that's how we tie into that too. ZÁLEÐEÐEN Sam.
Asa huakinachin chalasan ath huisenich each nemoch hacha chal siam tana squale quam kunten squalawan ÞΥΙΘΥΕΘ no siam nasiaya hacha chal siam to the celebration of culture. My name is Gail Sam. My late father was Dr. Samuel Sam from ɁIÐՀΕΕΘ, Sartlet Reserve. My late mother was ZԴIWIEԵՀ from the Nanaimo Reserve. I just want to thank the Creator for this beautiful day and thank the people who are doing this project and for giving me the honor to speak of who I am, where I come from, and what I do for a living. My late father was a master canoe builder. His father, Johnny Sam, was a master canoe builder. I have to hand it to, the elders who, I always say they were geniuses. They were masters of their trade. And I guess at the age of 5, I barely remember this, but from the age of 5, my father put me inside of the canoe that he was building in our front yard. It was a 50-foot racing canoe. And he put me inside of the canoe and made him watch him work. And I remember sitting in the bow of this canoe watching him, and it was all hand tools. He had adzes, chisels, draw knives. And as I grew older, he started to groom me to, I guess, follow in his footsteps and my grandfather's footsteps. So I started off making paddles. I had to make a set of 12 paddles. My dad showed me how to make the first one, and all he gave me was an axe, and he had these planks all lined up, and he had a pattern, so my job was to shape all these paddles out with just an axe. Showed me how to do the first one, and I had to do the rest. But when he handed me the axe, he said, whatever you do, don't mess it up. Because you can subtract, but you can't add. So to be groomed and mentored by a person like him, I was totally fortunate to learn the language, the culture, the history of the Longhouse, the Shaker Church, the Sweat Lodge. He taught me everything he knew, everything. And I carry that today. I guess at the age of 19, I approached ÞΥΙΘΥΕΘ, a famous Coast Salish carver, and asked him if I could apprentice. Wouldn't be able to do what I do without these mentors, but a lot of it was research. I studied the old carvers like Simon Charlie from Cowichan and went into the archives and studied the old style, which I try to incorporate with my work now. But I guess I'm proud to say that I'm Coast Salish from ˮKOSAINIץ. I have my BA from the University of Victoria, bachelor's degree in fine art. I took Indigenous Studies, art history, studied Emily Carr, the group of 7, and now I guess I've been teaching for about 25 years. My father always told me, if you have a gift, you have to share that gift. So that's what I've been doing. I teach at the college level, the university level. So I think now is the time to pass on what I have. So that's, a part of my tribal journey, I guess. All 4 bands have a carver, a representative, and all 4 bands have like junior youth or young up-and-coming carvers that are Coast Salish. So as long as we have teachers and mentors, we can keep that traditional knowledge alive, keep it going, so to speak. Because there was a time when there wasn't, being in Coast Salish territory, there wasn't too many of us. But now our strength is in our numbers. You can't throw a rock without hitting a carver here now. One of the things that my late mother, Julia Fraser, always told me, even as a child, but one of the things she always told me, she said, make sure you get your education. I want you to get your education. And I always remember everything she said to me, because she was a major influence on my academics. So I took her advice. I did everything good to combine my academia and the traditional knowledge. And my father said, if you can combine the two, the academia and the traditional knowledge, you can't be beat. You walk in 2 worlds. So my mother was a major influence with the academics of education. My father was an influence with the traditional knowledge. So I did combine the two. As a carver, I felt that I've finally come home. So I guess to be a Coast Salish carver is something that I was born to be. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I'm proud to be a Coast Salish carver, just to pass on that traditional knowledge and pass on the legacy.